Yes, so my name is Govea. I go by Tochtlita and I'm from Los Angeles, California.
And can you share a little bit about your art practice and what brought you to self-help graphics?
Yeah, so I specialize in screen printing and sign painting. Those are two of my most. I like to focus on screen printing and sign painting. I love lettering and anything that works with the hand painted, hand pulled. Um, I came across self-help when I first started an all-woman collective here. I wanted to get a group of women and we wanted to just paint together and learn from each other, and that's how my first journey with self-help started.
We're glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Can you share a little bit about the image you created for this atelier and like the thought process behind it?
I really wanted to emphasize the issue of immigration with my print and also talk about the detention centers that have been, illegally holding these people for God knows how long. And we need to talk about ICE, how it's a new concept and how it shouldn't exist. I really wanted to emphasize that with this print and get that conversation going about migration and what it means to be native on this continent and treated as a foreigner.
I think your usage of the butterfly fits that messaging as well. Do you want to share a little bit about that imagery?
Yeah, I definitely chose a butterfly because it's been a symbol of migration since the beginning of forever. And we've seen it as a very natural thing. We have done it for thousands of years. And I chose a butterfly to symbolize immigration is an issue for everyone, for brown folk, for black folk, for everyone who is not American, you know? And I chose to represent that with a butterfly, also with like the background patterns that I've used. That's a symbol for a butterfly. And the image on top is my interpretation, like a modern interpretation of that codice and that symbol that I used in the back. And then in little letters, you can kind of see my messaging. It says abolish ICE, no one is illegal. And I really wanted to just include that messaging, but in a very subtle way. You see the picture of the butterfly in the front, I think it's a nice image, but when you see the details, you see the messaging in the back and what I want to say about it. So that's kind of my thought process behind that and why I chose to use that. Overall, like migration is natural and detention centers are not, and that's the main point I want to make with my print.
I think that's a very timely message, for sure. Can you share if, along the way, did you have to adjust the image in any way? Or, once you got into the studio, color matching or anything like that?
I definitely had to be more mindful of the amount of colors I chose. There was like a limit, and of course I went over it, but Dewey was like, no worries, friend, we're gonna make it happen. And that was cool to see, but I had to be conscious of like how many colors I was using. We made it happen, and Dewey let me slide, and I used more than I should have. So that was something to take into account. And then I think the really cool thing about this project was I came in mind thinking that I already had all the layers digitally done, and then Dewey convinced me like, no friend, like hand paint that all, do it by hand and let's try it out. And I was like, thank you for convincing me to do it that way, because it was amazing just getting my hands in there and like no computers were used in the process of this print. I'm really proud of that when it comes to screen printing or sign painting.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about, the overall experience here in the studio, or just, any final words?
I'm very grateful for everything that I've learned here. I remember when I first walked into self-help, I had no idea what screen printing was or that you can make amazing things out of it. And now coming back years later and being able to execute this print with like one of the first people who taught me what it can be done, like it feels great. And being able to work alongside Gabby, making the colors, and it was so fun. And I'm always grateful for them for teaching me and us getting to this point together.